Hello everyone, I'm Batpan. Welcome to JobLog number 2. In the previous part, we covered the elements. So let me show you what it does again. So let me show you what it does. You see we have a menu here, it moves around. You can select each of the themes you want. These themes are locked. If you want to use it, you guys have to buy it. So for example, I buy this thing. So you see we have 3 items that we can buy before the game. So you see, you select this, a video appears on the screen according to that one. And this is a big backpack which shows we can carry 2 items. This is an atomic bomb that destroys, for example, an amount of rows. Then we have a freeze bomb that comes up and freezes. So I'm gonna buy all of them and start the game. So you see that the game starts. It's like a bubble shooter game. This is a project that I personally liked a lot. I think when it started it wasn't beautiful, but the more it got away with it, it became more and more beautiful when I added the UI elements of it. So I'm gonna decrease the sound a little. So you see we have this here. You can shoot the objects. If 3 appears, it's gonna just drop down. And so the thing I use is, so if you shoot this bubble and it interacts with, for example, these amounts for more than 10 other bubbles with the same color, for example, it's gonna play on a specific audio. And if you do it, for example, like 3 bubbles, it's gonna play another audio. So I have made 3 audios inside Premiere Pro myself. So the audios are not the same. It is more unique. So your ears don't get used to it, and it is actually better. So you see, if I yeah, I explained a lot and I just messed it up. Let me see if I can actually fix it. You see, this sound is actually different than this sound, and the sound is actually different than this sound. Let's see. You saw the sound was different. And we have items here we could use. This item gets the bubble that we shot and turns the last, for example, 4 row or 3 row, changes all the bubbles into that color we have touched. So right now you saw that I have touched the purple, for example, gem in this case, and I threw the object at it and it changed all 3 last rows into purple gem, for example. And I also have another object which is the bomb. You see that it does this. And we have another object. And the beautiful thing is that I made an animation for it. You see, it changes color. It's just simple images going up one after another. I made an animation of it. You see, this one is gonna, I think it is the object. If I shoot it at purple, it gets all the purples in the scene and it drops all the purples in the scene. And if there are other, for example, gems attached to that, for example, purple, they're gonna drop as well. So see, I'm gonna throw it at the purple. You see all the purples dropped. So now you saw all the items. I think there's another item that, you see, it drops all the red gems. So what are these 2 items? These 2 items we see down here. These 2 items are actually the items that we could buy before starting the game. You see that we have them here, and I'm gonna use them. You see, I have made special animations for them. You see, if I press, for example, X, this was the atomic bomb, which was it was the animation I made for it. It was just a simple shake. It scaled up, it shaked faster and faster. You see that by default it takes, for example, 15 seconds to come down 1 row at the start of the game. As you gain more score, it's gonna come down faster. But you saw when we had 1 row or less than 5 rows, or I think 4 rows, it goes the time goes to 1 second. You see I have a debug.log down here that says I waited, for example, 1 second. So it waits 1 second and the speed goes to 1 second. So it comes down 6 or 7 rows and then goes back to, for example, the default value, which was 15. Or if it was faster, it could be like 10 or something. So you see it here. Let me just use the ice item, which freezes the item here so it won't move down. So we could actually play this a little. So you see, If you lose the game, you see that the game comes up with finished score and it shows the score, and then it quits the game and it comes back to the menu. So you saw the menu. So let's see how the menu actually works. The first house is selected by default. So I know if I press go right here, I'll be on house number 2. So my selected goes to 2. You see we have selected theme, which is default by 1 on this one. So I have all of that in my script. Let me show you very fast. So you can see the script here, which is for this theme select scene. It controls the whole thing. You see we have the theme select, and then I'm on item select. I have another specific script for this one. So each of these packs actually have their own script. So let's see what it contains. It's actually very easy to do. I had a boolean, so I had 3 locked items at first, and then the company said we don't need 3 locked items, so we only need, for example, 1 or 2. So I didn't just remove the booleans, I used these 2 and I just kept this untouched. I could have just deleted it, but I didn't somehow, I don't know why. So we come down here. This is for the buy menu thing that popped up when we wanted to buy it, for example, for 50 coins. Then at the start, I just give it the time that it took for this slider to come down, and a lot of other things. You see here, we have inside void update, we check if you're in buy state. If you're in the buy state, we only have left and right, and we return, so we don't come all down here to check. We just return inside void update, and we check only left and right, and space to buy. This game is going to be connected to a very different kind of machine, so it's not going to be like pressing space. I have to make a void of it and use it in that case, but I have made it like this so I could be easier to use it. It's just a simple thing that I have made before the final product. And when we come down, you see that when we press D or right arrow, we call this void. What it does is it checks. This switch case is actually like writing if, so it's like saying if selected theme is, for example, 1, do this. It's like writing it like this, but instead of doing it like this, I just put it inside the switch case. So I'm gonna say if selected theme is 1, do this one, and break is something you have to use for the switch case. Then we say if it is 3, do this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm checking if I'm on 1 or 3. All the others I don't need to check, because if I'm on, for example, 2, I cannot go more right. You see, it is the end. So I'm on house number 1 or house number 3. If I'm on house number 1, I press D, I go right to house number 2. You see it right here. And if I'm on house number 3, I press D to go right, I go to house number 4 in our case. So, and I just reset the time, this slider time, because it was something the company wanted me to do. And yeah, we just played the audio, and the audio is actually inside another script. It's called an audio manager. So what I'm actually doing in my projects are I'm keeping every function in their own script, you know. So if my audios are getting managed inside an audio manager, and it is here, you see that it is some public voice that I'm gonna call, but I need a reference to this script. How do I reference it? I'm using something called a referencer. I'm making this script actually static, and when it is static, I can get a reference to it. So you see, it is a static scene, and I have a reference to my audio manager in here. So I give this audio manager to my script, and when I wanna do a function, I just call the referencer, go inside the referencer, take this reference inside it, and then do anything we want with it. So this referencer is like a passageway or a bridge to all the other scripts in your scene or the objects if you want to access them without needing to reference them multiple times. But be careful, making it static actually consumes more RAM, so be careful on that one. But you know, referencing your scripts like this is actually a pretty okay idea. I'm actually referencing my normal objects like this as well. So this is a new method I'm using. If you guys know a better way, I'll be happy to know it in the comment section below. And this was for the theme select. We have the same thing inside the item select. I'm gonna open it for you guys. You see that we have a video player here. So each one we have a video panel which holds the value for it. So you see inside this item menu where we can buy, we either can go up or down. You see we don't have left and right, we have either up or down, and I'm actually doing the same thing. If I press down, if I'm on 1, I go to 2. If I'm on 2, I go to 3, and I do exactly the same thing like before. And this is a check active theme, is just a for each that checks where I'm at, and it activates the object based on it. It's just a UI update each time I move my cursor, so I don't put it inside void update to make it unoptimized. I put it inside a different void that I can actually run and use, you know. So it's just exactly like that. And when I do run it, the next one is actually a loading game, which actually does nothing. It wastes 3 seconds and actually loads my actual game. So that is everything I might have needed for this scene. It's a very simple scene. The video has been long enough. I'm not gonna make this JobLog a long video. These series are not supposed to be long. It's just a simple summary of what I have done this week or 2 weeks. I haven't made a video on it, I think, for a month, so this is actually after a month. In the next JobLog, I'm gonna explain how I achieved these effects and this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a like really helps. If you guys love the contents I make or want to see more, you guys can actually subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to tell me anything, any suggestions or anything you just want to say to me, you could actually write it in the comment section below. I would be very happy to answer all of your comments. Hope all the very best for you guys and stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.